All right, welcome back to the Champion Europe Spotlight Show with the regular guests of Quinny and Jeremy, and then Fedo joined us today for this week. I think there's probably no better way to jump into this series, than to start with Spurs Man City, because that is where me and Quinny were. So, Quinny, what do you think of the game?
It was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? The stadium's something else. The game itself, the game of football, it wasn't that amazing. I think I'm a wee bit cursed every time I've went to the Premier League. It's not been a fun game to go and see. But yeah, it was a great day out, man. Great spectacle, and little spells of the match were pretty good. Definitely not City at their best. That's to say the least.
Yeah, for me, I was really excited to see Haaland, and he was just not in the game at all. Couldn't even tell you if he touched the ball, really. I don't think that dampens City assets going forward at all. They're still just absolute killers. It's just against Spurs. It's a bit of their bogey team. They're a bit found out. And then in terms of Spurs, again, it doesn't give me massive confidence that I'd want to roll into a Spurs stack or anything like that in terms of Sorare. But just a really solid effort from the team. Even one of their weakest players, Emerson Royale, for me, had a really solid game. Obviously, Romero is going to be suspended, so avoid him if you do have him. Just a quick reminder. But yeah, that probably wasn't the most surprising event of the Premier League weekend. I think for me, that would be the Liverpool game. I know it ruined a few of my teams. Did it ruin anyone else's, or did it shock anyone?
It did ruin my draft team since I believed in Alisson, but I just like Alisson. I did like him when he was at Roma, so I just picked him just because of personal favor. But it did really ruin my draft team. Let's say that.
Yeah. My thoughts on Liverpool going forward is, as it was last week, just avoid where possible. I say that, and I played them in split lineups like an absolute moron. But I watched the highlights, and honestly, between Matip and Gomez, they're just probably not Premier League standard, at least not top tier Premier League standard for me. So without Van Dijk, it's just a shining glare of errors. You add in Trent, who's an attacking wing back essentially, and then you have Robbo, who's a bit of a halfway house for me. Avoid Liverpool, and it really affects them going forward as well. Salah's starting to blank now. Wolves probably still a team to avoid, but yeah. That's pretty much it for me, except for I think the game we all watched, Everton Arsenal, possibly a bigger upset. I don't know what you guys think. Who's gonna jump in with their thoughts?
We've all watched it, right? I think that was a big upset. I mean, how unhappy must you be as a Liverpool fan seeing that your team's struggling and that your neighbors are just smashing the top of the league. One of my mates where I work, he's a big Everton fan, and during the whole week, I was like, oh, I got Saliba and I got Saka, and he goes, you're getting twice 100 there, and I was like, Shandike, who knows? And I think everybody watching it would think the same thing. I think the midfield was brilliant. If he's going to play Gay, Onana, and Doucouré like this against any team, Everton's going to be strong if they can keep that midfield like this. Not a lot of teams were able to shut down players like Odegaard or Partey, and they did well. So, maybe Everton is one of those teams, especially for the draft, etc., that have players that probably are worth nothing right now, but maybe you should keep an eye on until the end. Gray is obviously supposedly their best player up front, but he didn't play at all on the weekend. So let's see what Shandike is going to do with him. But what did you guys think of it?
I found Amadou Onana incredibly good, incredible. What he was covering also from spaces where the other opponent team, like Arsenal team, couldn't just go into those spaces because he was already there. That was amazing. He was literally amazing, and that's why they signed him from Lille. That's why he was 40 million. Not before, but that's the first actually game I saw from him where I said, wow, guy, you might be special in a way. I was really impressed by him.
That's exactly what I thought as well. He's got so many years of under 23 utility as well that I was like, I've just got to buy this guy. But I had spent all my money on a Kevin De Bruyne, which we won't get into now. But I might even try and get one now. He was that good, just stand out. And just to get my Sorare hat on here, what I love about having an Everton CDM, centre mid really, is a bit of both. You can play him against anyone because when he's more defensive, he's going to get tackles. When he's against weaker opposition, he's going to go forward and create chances. He's really not shining, Kevin De Bruyne 100-point scorer guy, but that tier below is just going to be really solid every single fixture. And then kind of in addition to what Jeremy said, like a defensive stack going forward could be the answer. Sean Dyche is naturally a defensive manager. I think their defense is actually quite good. You're looking at like a Pickford with Tarkowski, mix in Onana or Gay, something like that. It could be a really solid base on a budget. And let's say it goes wrong, worst case scenario, they lose every game. Welcome to the championship. I'm not sure they're all staying, obviously, but yeah, it's a nice little, bounty, let's call it, if they did go down. But yeah, I'm not seeing them going down personally. Quinny, what do you think?
I wasn't too sure whether to call them Burnton or Everley or whatever, because it was like proper. it was like proper. It was Everton, wasn't it? With blue strips on, But honestly, see, for the first like half an hour, I've seen Onana play for Lille, right? And I've never remember seeing him. I've seen him play a bunch of times when he was at Lille. Don't remember anything he ever done. But that game, like what all you guys said, like I was like, I thought it was Doucouré for a start, because I just never thought Onana had that in him. Those runs he was doing, like I just didn't think he had it. I thought that was Doucouré. I'm like, Jesus, I was like, Doucouré is still quite young, isn't he? And then I looked at the shirt number, and I was like, no, that's not him. Because he was like Yaya Toure, wasn't he? He was just taking the ball at the halfway line. Nobody was stopping him. He was getting into the box, and he was just, and like you're talking about, he's going end to end. And when you seen all the, I watched like 3/4 of the game before I had to leave for the train to come to London. But I caught up match. I seen a match today as well at the end. And when you see that triangle of the three of them, Doucouré, Onana, and
Gay,
who's the third one? Gay, in there as well. Like you can see, like I seen a really funny tweet. I can't remember exactly how it was built, but it was like Burnley's midfield, and it was like Jeff Hendrick and like those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And it was like Sean Dyche that's like finishing like 16th or something, and then it's like Sean Dyche with these three guys, and it's like, they could be crazy good, But see, one thing I'll throw at you is, right, because I've went through the top 10 of the Premier League draft to see, what players were really shaking and moving. I was really surprised that Tarkowski wasn't really up there, right? We did have, you're talking about defensive stacks, we've seen some huge defenders making the difference on the leaderboard. All the guys in the top 10, top kind of echelons, had very similar guys, like Nketiah, like Bruno, Rashford, a lot of the guys you kind of expected to show up. But the difference makers were Rico Henry, Ben Mee, Max Kilman dropped 100. Even Mitoma had a few differential appearances in the top 10 as well. Bruno Fernandes was probably the standout stud of the top 10s, if that makes kind of sense. But you can only pick, just because we're talking about Burton or Everley or whatever, if you could only take two Everton players, how would you stack them? Because you can only take two.
I would go with the defensive stack, as Alex said. I think that's the most.
You can only take two. Who would you take?
Pickford. I would take Pickford and Tarkowski.
Ooh. Goalkeeper, defender.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go depth stack, you have to have the goalie. Go big or go home.
But yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, like a complete U-turn from last week. I remember saying last week something along the lines of, I don't even see a new manager sorting this out, and yeah, we can be wrong, and we have to adapt. And yeah, that defensive stack would be a solid start for the draft in me. It should save you a lot of points given their last 15 averages. But then going forward, you can have the business up front.
But that's also Sam Dyche's style of football. Like you won't win anything with him, but you probably will not get relegated as well. So that's the trade-off they're taking, actually.
I'm just want to check something. I hate when it does this. I just wanted to go and check the draft because I just want to see what Pickford costs. I personally hate Pickford, so I just want to see.
Yeah, I hate him too.
Do you hate his football abilities?
Jeremy, who would you pick from Everton? There's a two while I try and get this page up.
I don't like Pickford either, so I was trying to see who I can get to avoid him. Maybe you'd get Tarkowski and Onana. I guess Onana has a lot of upsides, but he is inconsistent. So hopefully under Sunday he can actually get a bit of a bit of rhythm. I can't get behind Pickford, but I guess Pickford Tarkowski sounds like the obvious one.
Jeremy, the problem with picking Onana is obviously I really rate him. The problem with picking Onana is that the Premier League has so many good midfielders that have a so much higher ceiling that it would be a wasted pick. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think he's a great capped player for a draft. Yeah, I like the smashers. I like the Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne's in midfield for me.
Odegaard, those guys you need.
Yeah. Rashford, is he a forward or a midfielder?
Forward.
I can't see him here. It must be really cheap.
We conceded a lot of goals, Quinny.
Yeah,
fair
can't
enough.
cost much.
Yeah, but with Frank
I don't even
Lampard
see
as a
Pickford.
gaffer.
Let me search him.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
should we? We should probably move on from the Prem anyway. So what's our segue?
If you
So
if
we're
you
gonna
want to
go
talk about
to
Man
Bayern Wolfsburg.
United, oh, go ahead.
But in terms of how do we lead up, Pickford's not coming up in my draft for some reason.
We could talk about Enzo Fernandez' first game.
Oh, yeah. Cycle. Yeah, it doesn't lead into.
And then from Enzo Fernandez, we can go to Bundesliga through Borussia Dortmund. Because Chelsea's playing Dortmund.
Yeah, cool. Beautiful.
Get this guy on more.
Take it away. Enzo
So
Chelsea. You seen it?
Enzo Chelsea, I really would have loved to see it. I was really searching for it, even on some sites you shouldn't be on. But I couldn't find a decent stream for Chelsea Fulham. And none of the German streams were showing it because I'm technically from my internet side still in Germany because I work in Germany. So I can't see UK internet at the end of the day. So I couldn't find the stream. But I watched the highlights, everything, and yeah, I think the score was a little bit floated in a way because he had 7 successful tackles. So this is, of course, huge boost for your AA. But okay, it was his first game, but it seemed that they were not trusting him as a ball manager. He was not given the ball to basically build the play-up game. The play-up game was still based completely on Badiashile and Thiago Silva, but I think this is gonna change. And Enzo Fernandez, I think, is so good that he can manage and he will still outscore most midfielders in the PL. That's my honest opinion. And what I love about him is he never gives up. You saw that in the game, in the highlights at least, that he was running after each ball. He was playing a little bit like a very fit Marco Verratti at the end of the day, and that's beautiful. Marco Verratti on his days is one of the best midfielders in the world, and Enzo could be the same in the future. And yeah.
Let me just read out some of the stats for the people that missed it, right? According to Sorare, duels 1 of 9, interceptions 2, 1 tackles of 5, effective clearances of 3. He's really had everything. A total score of 78, all round 43. I mean, the Chelsea team is looking a lot better now. I'm interested how they're going to play against Dortmund in the Champions League. But, when we look at Dortmund this weekend, did any of you watch it?
Yes, I did. I did watch the conference, yes. Crazy game as always. Signal Iduna Park is crazy. I have to go there live. I have to go. Dortmund is a little bit like the horse that everybody's drawing, where the rear part is really good and the front part is really bad. Only for Dortmund, it's basically the reverse. At least that's how they play in the Bundesliga. Gregor Kobel is a very good goalie at the end of the day. I really like him. I loved him when he was under Stuttgart. I think he has massive talent. The problem is, I think that Edin Terzic is not a good defensive coach. That's just it. And Nico Schlotterbeck is doing pretty good, if I'm honest. He's playing decently at Dortmund. I thought he would have been a little bit better until this point, but I will give him the benefit of the doubts. It's his first season. He can still become way better. And yeah, but Dortmund right now is just every game you watch Dortmund is the spectacle to watch. Also because they have Jude Bellingham on the team, and what he's doing is also crazy. We should all enjoy Jude while he is at Dortmund because he won't have that freedom anymore if he's gonna move to another club. But it's just brilliant. It's beautiful watching him at the end of the day. But Dortmund against Chelsea, I think that's gonna be an interesting one. How do you think that will end?
Yeah, it's one of those strong defense at the moment versus really strong attack. On current form, I'd probably take Dortmund, but it is a few weeks away, so I could see kind of Chelsea getting into a rhythm with their new signings. But away over 2 legs, I'm probably going to take Dortmund. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I reckon Dortmund as well. Chelsea's starting lineup, we don't know what it is. The Potter started Ziyech this weekend, who supposedly was signing to Paris if it wasn't for like a missed fax at the end of the transfer window. So I think Chelsea, we don't know yet what's going to happen. It's too up and down, and Dortmund smashing it. Like whether you look at it, watch the game, but also look at the Sorare score. I think the best Sorare stack of the weekend had either Guerrero or Schlotterbeck or Brand in there, because of how great they've been, and of course Haller is back, which makes a lot of room for everybody around, and all of a sudden we're seeing Adeyemi scoring well and having good games. So I think Dortmund is probably finally growing into themselves with the team fully back. I'd say Dortmund will probably make it, and they are, I think, building a case for themselves at the top of the Bundesliga as well, because it's not like it's all very tight, right? What is it? 4 points between Bayern
tight,
and
yes.
Leipzig.
Yeah, it's Leipzig,
it's
Bayern,
rare that we
Union,
don't have
and
only
Frankfurt.
2 teams.
Yeah,
It's
1 point
4
between
teams.
Munich and Berlin. Yeah, 3 points between Dortmund and Munich, and then 4 with Leipzig. Yeah. So can we talk about Bayern? It is a little bit selfish. When you said some of the best stacks of the week, I actually had the best stack of the week. I had Jude Bellingham and Joshua Kimmich. They just didn't turn out to be the best scorers of the week. So did any of you watch it? Can someone tell me what happened to my man Kimmich?
How stupid was that red card, Fedo?
Pretty stupid, but I think he was frustrated in that moment because people were not really responding to him. I saw that on the pitch. I saw the build-up in frustration because he was asking for the ball, but he never got the ball at the end of the day. So, and I think at the end it was pure frustration because he wasn't even mad for being sent off because he knew it was a foul. And he was just doing it just out of, I need to get this out of my system, basically, this bad energy. And it's fine. It's actually, I think, not the worst because then he can rest against Bochum now. Anyways, they wouldn't have needed him against Bochum. But the thing is, if you have a Kimmich who is not suspended, you have to play him. It's like it's an insult to his majesty if you don't play Joshua Kimmich. So now he can be rested, be completely fit for Paris Saint-Germain, for the game against Paris Saint-Germain. But I have to say, which is honestly, I'm a little bit concerned about Kimmich. Because he's not the same since coming from the World Cup. I think this very early exit for Germany had a big toll on him, and especially because I listened. I do like him. I rate him a lot, and especially I listened to a lot of interviews he did, and even a podcast he did, and you could hear it from his voice, basically, that he's giving himself the fault of going out of the World Cup again, because it's the first 2 years that basically Germany got out of the group stage of the World Cup, and in both of them Kimmich started. So I think that's really, really hard on his head, and I think that's why also this frustration was built up in this Wolfsburg game, because for him right now nothing is really working how he would love to. Of course, then you see another banging goal against Köln, and then you think, okay, we got the old Kimmich back. But I really see when I see him play that he's not mentally there yet. He really had some obstacles, but I completely understand that. He's a guy who always wants to win. He was always to win. He will not care against who he's playing. He could play against his brother, against his father. He wants to win, basically. And if you make yourself fault for exiting for your country, then I understand that it could lead you to a darker path. So I hope they will help him. Also, right now at Bayern, it's very, very, very unstable environment. Very, very unstable environment, because you have like Team Kimmich and Team Neuer at the end of the day, because Nagelsmann really loves Kimmich. So basically, he's mostly talking to Kimmich, and for him, Kimmich is the number one person to talk to if he wants to address the team. But generally, Neuer is the captain, so he should address Neuer, and Neuer really doesn't like that. And so I think internally, I know I have some friends who work for Bayern. I know that internally, players are really unhappy, and there's a big fraction of players, also Jamal Musiala, who are really unhappy with Nagelsmann. And I'm honestly thinking I could bet on it. If they get out of the UCL against Paris, he will get fired at the end of the season. Even if he wins the double or whatever, he will just get fired because the chemistry inside the cabin is not good. The same as it was with Kovac. Then they had to get Hansi Flick. Kovac was not a bad coach at the end of the day, but the cabin, the environment was just bad, and players didn't want to play for him anymore. And yeah, okay, but that's enough about Bayern environment. But that's a big, a little deep dive into Bayern Munich. But the guy I'm looking forward the most from FC Bayern Munich, if I'm honest, is Alphonso Davies. I think Alphonso Davies can have a very, very great few next games and even the rest of the season, because something very, very drastic changed in the Bayern game now. Now you play Cancelo as a right back, and you are not playing Pavard as a right back anymore. So Pavard was always staying behind the line. He was never really attacking, but Cancelo is attacking 100%. So that's very important to understand, because now the opponent's defense have to decide if they are covering Alphonso Davies or Joao Cancelo, and they can't cover both of them quite equally. So if Cancelo is attacking, Alphonso Davies is basically free on the other side. So he will have a lot more space to do his thing. And that's going to be massive for him. You saw that against Wolfsburg in the first 40 minutes. He had so much more space. He was so much more better at the end of the day. And I think that's really helping him on his score side and also on his being as a real life soccer player, football player, of course. And also very important, he now has a little bit of pressure because now there are alternatives for him. Before he could have done whatever he wanted. He would have started as a left back. Now he has to actually perform to keep his spot. If I would bet on one player right now of FC Bayern Munich, I would go on Alphonso Davies, especially because he's a left back. And as we all know, fullbacks have very high ceiling.
Cancelo had a good start of life with Bayern as well, right?
Yes.
In the cup, he got an assist over the weekend against Wolfsburg. He got an assist, and Bayern wasn't great defensively, but offensively, and both goals being two commands kind of come from the right side and Cancelo. So I think Cancelo's move to Bayern has worked well for both them and him, and also on the scores. Defensively, I don't know. When Upamecano was back, I'm not sure which one is gone between De Ligt and Pavard, because De Ligt isn't really good so far, and Pavard actually had a good game against Wolfsburg despite everybody else being not great. For anybody who hasn't seen, by the way, Kimmich, it's 2 yellow, not a straight red. So he'd only miss a game. But the first one is the dumb one where he pushes the player. The second one is just a professional foul. I think, Bayern was what it was. I was actually despite the 4-2 loss, I was not disappointed by Wolfsburg. I think in the first 10 minutes, they were really good against Bayern. Just then the firepower of Bayern was too much for them. And I think there's players, even though nobody really scores well over the weekend for them, there's players to look at. Mickey van de Ven, of course, is a very huge prospect for the Bundesliga in general, but Wolfsburg is tall, is so quick. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing him playing for other teams, see if he keeps going it, because he's deceptively quick for a player his size. Score-wise, it's been okay. I think we'll have to see where they go. Wolfsburg, they're playing the big teams right now. Union Berlin is next, and then Leipzig.
No.
So
next one is Schalke. Schalke
first.
So I think actually, if I would give a little insider tip in a way, I think a good stack to play somehow, if you have it, is especially because they're playing against Schalke, is they're playing away, but it's still Schalke. Right now, Schalke is really a shambles. It's like Angers in Ligue 1. They can't play football at the end of the day right now. And So I would look at the stack between Otavio and Maximilian Arnold. I think Otavio is very underrated SO5 wise. I think he's attacking a lot. He's doing the good stuff on SO5, and he is on the Kovac. He really flourished, and he's even having the assists. And those two for low cap, I think I don't know the cap of those two, but I think even in a cap mode, or even in Champion Europe, I think this weekend they could be a really good cheat code. And against Schalke, everything is possible, and I can see Otavio score really high against Schalke.
I had Otavio on my shortlist for doing some swaps and whatnot for the exact reasons that you just said, Fedo. I forget what his value is in it, but it's very cheap, I think.
£10 in limited, which is nice.
Yeah.
Otavio.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say,
Amazing.
54 on the cap. It's not too cheap. It's not too expensive, but because in the top 10 on the Bundesliga, we were slagging over Dortmund's defense, right? But if you look at the top 10 in the Bundesliga, you're going to see Rafael Guerrero on 100, and you're going to see lots of Schlotterbecks up there, So I agree, but Terzic is very much an attacking coach. But again, I think what you guys were saying is I think we're now going to get this little period with Dortmund. I think they probably don't even really want to be in Europe at this moment. They'd probably rather just focus on the league, get the best team on the pitch for 3 games in a row, and see, if they can actually get some sort of form and momentum going and some sort of consistency. But the Alphonso Davies one is the big one that jumped out to me in particular as well. I didn't see the game, so it's really interesting to hear what you guys are saying there about the Cancelo, that kind of symmetry on the wings, really paying off. Kingsley Coman was probably the big surprise Bayern Munich player to feature in the top 10, in my opinion anyway. He scored better than one of the players that was getting highly bumped up last week, and that was Kolo Muani, who only brought in 78 points. So wasn't too far behind. And the other one that I made a wee note of, yes, Bellingham's doing great, but the best pick, if you want a Borussia Dortmund midfielder, is Julian Brandt, who's taking all the sets. It feels like now he's just going on and on and on. So yeah, I'm quite excited for the Bundesliga myself. All my teams are absolutely ravaged. But as you guys were talking there and getting me up to speed with what I've missed, having a wee look at the trades, there's definitely, I think, a lot of good opportunities for the Bundesliga this weekend. There's some really good fixtures coming up.
Funny thing about Brandt, he was actually out of the project, and then he impressed Terzic so much in the training that he's now a very crucial point of Borussia Dortmund. But he was, at the beginning of the season and the first 2 months, he was very much out of the project, basically.
You were saying, Fedo, that you think if Bayern doesn't make it through the UCL, Nagelsmann might be gone. I think it's about the same on the other side of who they're playing in UCL at Paris, because there's a bit of word on Galtier right now. I don't know if you guys heard his press conference after the weekend. So Paris were playing against Toulouse over the weekend, and they won 2-1. And midweek, I can't remember who they were playing, but Mbappe got injured, so Mbappe is out until supposedly the Bayern game. At least that's what they announced, but everybody thinks that he's going to play anyway. And Galtier said, if you have a player like Messi, your whole team needs to play for Messi. Whatever happens, the ball goes to Messi. It's okay to cut him some slack if he doesn't defend, but when we have the ball, we have to look for Messi. So I guess first thing, if you want to get a player in your draft, get Messi, because the balls are all going to go to him more than it even usually goes. But also, I think the fact that the coach said that to me was like, well, what happened when Neymar and Mbappe come back then? You just said we all giving the ball to Messi. So it'll be an interesting one to follow. What you were going to jump in, Fedo?
No, Jeremy, I agree 100% with you, but I also understand Gaultier because I watched that game, and what the other players, because there were no real star except of Messi playing for PSG at that match, what they did with the passes is ridiculous. They were playing like U15 players. I would have scored, I would have made better passes. So I completely understand Gaultier that please just give the ball to Messi and he would just do something and we might win this game, because if we play like you all do, we will never win this game, by the way. So and the second goal of Messi was just pure brilliance again. The first one of Hakimi that's just individual class, nothing else.
Yeah.
Paris should have lost that game, just how they played. They played so horrendously bad. Unbelievable. Really, the passes they did sometimes were they were they were.
They're
I can't really
playing bad
explain.
right now.
Yes, they're playing so bad, and
They are so bad.
like really bad. Like it's really hurting the eye if you want to see, and especially like I don't want to confront any players, especially because I don't know what's going on in their head, but like what the hell is Fabian Ruiz playing? Like he was never playing that bad at Napoli. Like what the hell is going on with him? Like he's like the worst player on the field basically, and not even him. Marquinhos is not looking good as well. He's very slow on the counters. He doesn't seem to have the passion anymore to play for Paris in this way. And Donnarumma, I don't know, man. At Milan, you would have kept all of those goals. Like I don't know what you're doing. And I love Donnarumma because he got us the cup, but. Come on, you can do better. Like
for last week we broke Quinny's heart by saying that Carlos Soler was also not being great at PSG this season. But yeah, the team news that happened this weekend. Sanchez got injured again, Renato Sanchez, and probably out for a while. Midweek it was Sergio Ramos who got injured as well. So anybody who's looking at the PSG team, Danilo Pereira is most likely the centre back for the time being for the next 3-4 weeks, and he doesn't have a defender card. He only has midfield cards. So yeah, I don't know how they're going to play. Ekitike is starting until Mbappe is coming back almost for sure. And they're playing bad, and they're playing Marseille in the cup in the day, and then they have the Champions League next week. They got Monaco this weekend. Monaco is in like superb form. So it's yeah. Besides Messi, I'd probably stay away from Paris Saint-Germain for the months being, and then as soon as they're out of the Champions League, jump back on them, and then they'll get the results. What I was going to say about France, since we're talking about Liga, is we have a new team to watch. Finally, now that there's so much money that has been spent in that team for the past couple of years, is Nice. I shamelessly said Nice is nice on Twitter, and I will own it. Nice won in Marseille this weekend 3-1. Quinny, I remember, I think the first time we talked, you were talking about Celta Vigo like a year and a half or 2 years ago, saying when I look at a player, I want to find the right sporting director and the right coach. The sporting director at Nice right now is Gisolfi. He's the guy who brought Lens up to where they've been. He's the guy who just pick players that no one really knows and turns them into superstars. And so since he joins Nice, he joined them in November, if I'm not mistaken. He got Terem Moffi, and he got Ndayi Shimie, which comes from Başakşehir.
I just seen that they got him. That's a surprise to me. I didn't notice he went there.
He got there in the winter. So I don't know if that made big changes, but what it makes for the whole team is the team is actually playing well. And the coach that they have, Gigar, is supposedly an interim coach. But since he joined 5 games ago, Nice has 4 wins, 1 draw. And this week, 3 wins against the 3 best teams in Liga, Lille, Lens, and Marseille. So I think Nice is a team to watch. They don't have a lot of players that are minted on Sorare, but the one player that I wanted to talk about is Gaëtan Laborde. And if you go and check the scores of Gaëtan Laborde, since he's in the platform, because I think it's a nice little stat, I think it's 140 games, 55 goals, 22 assists. And if you watch him play, he's the most selfless striker I've ever seen. Always plays for the other people, tackles, makes the run, the passes, likes to play for the striker next to him. He's a player to get. He's probably the most expensive player on their team right now. But the other players that are minted in that Nice team are affordable-ish and young, like Sofiane Diop is a young player that's worth it. Melvin Barr, the former Lyon player that at one point was probably at 1/8, is now a little bit more affordable because they weren't great up until just five games ago. So I think Nice is a team that we should keep tabs on and see how they perform between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, I was just saying as well, I was going to ask you about Sofiane Diop because when he came through at Monaco, there was a lot of high hopes for him. And but also seen making his debut against Marseille, looks like he's been off injured, but was Sorare OG Terem Moffi. So what happened with him in that game, Jeremy? Is that a bad one, or what was the injury all about? Do you know?
I don't think the injury is a bad injury. I think it was just on a shock. He was playing against a defense that, like Marseille's defender, they're trained by Tudor. So it's always, if you can't get the goal, the ball, get the player. and you see a lot of like shot pulling and kicking and things like that. So I don't think it was a too much of a bad injury. On the game though, Nice got dominated. They're just so strong on the counter attack, and they scored goals just because Pau Lopez wasn't able to block the balls and kept pushing them back to the strikers to finish. So I think 3-1 is a good result for Nice because they made the most of their opportunity. But I think we've seen what they can offer, and not a lot of teams can battle the intensity of Marseille, and Nice was able to do it up until they were 2-0 up.
Jeremy, I have to ask you one thing, too, because you were talking about Pau Lopez. You need to get rid of Pau Lopez. He's one of the worst goalkeepers I've seen, and seriously, I'm not even joking. I watched him even play at Roma, and Roma got really fast, really rid of him. And Roma, I respect Roma for one thing. They know how to train goalies. They showed that in their history. And if they deem him to be bad, I would get miles away from him. And I would just get rid of Pau Lopez.
You're entering a big issue in Marseille, but the one thing that you can't say against Pau Lopez is that he's probably the best goalkeeper ball to feet that has ever played for Marseille, and that's the key for Marseille dominating. Nobody can press Marseille because every time they got the ball, they pass it back to Lopez, and then he can push it back up. So I agree with you. He's not a great keeper, but he scores well because they get a lot of clean sheets, and they get a lot of clean sheets because they get a lot of position, and they get a lot of position because he can play ball to feet. So he's a catch-22. I'm not in love with the guy, but he's helping Marseille a lot.
Yeah. By the way, I'm loving that Balerdi found his spot, and I really like that kid. I even watched him play when he was at Dortmund. I even watched him play when he was still at Boca Juniors. I think he's a very aggressive type of defender, as you said. But that's also the Argentinian mentality, which I love, because that's when you really want to win, when you really want to eat the attacker, and that's when you basically succeed, because for you it's your life mission to stop this attacker, basically. And I really like Leonardo Balerdi. I thought that Dortmund should have kept him and gave him a chance, but I'm happy that Marseille did.
If we stay in Ligue 1, the two other teams that I wanted to quickly mention before we cross one of the borders, Monaco. Monaco, if you look at the last 3 seasons, they're always so up until Christmas, and then the second part of the season they win 15 out of 17 games or something like that. They look like they are on that little trend right now, and even without playing Ben Yedder over the weekend, they were able to win 2-0, and now they are only 2 points behind Marseille and Lens. So I think we can expect them to play on the podium. And the other team is Lille. Lille was able to beat Rennes this weekend, and watch a player that has been in my gallery for like a year and a half, because I saw a few highlights and I was like, oh, I want this guy. Edon Djegrova from Lille, who's a young player. I think he's from Kosovo, if I'm not mistaken, or Montenegro, one or the other.
Yes.
And he's playing now because Adamunas is injured and Timothy Weah isn't really performing. And then this weekend he had a goal and 2 assists. So he scored 94. And Lille under Paulo Fonseca is one of the best teams to watch play, with former Everton player Andre Gomes in there as well. And Zegrova is one of those young players that is not worth too much right now, but should see quite a bit of game time until the end of the season.
Muted.
You're coming through, Alex.
Sorry. That's a good one, because I'm looking at his price now. He's only £14 in limited and £118 in rare. He's going to cost you 45 points on the cap mode. And the reason for it is, he's just not been playing many games. And, 8 minutes last game, 12 minutes a game before. But then this weekend, he's coming with a 90 minutes. And as you said, 2 assists and a goal. So you think he's going to stick around, do you?
Yeah, I think so. I think they didn't want to play him because he was very inconsistent. And they tried to put Timothy Weah when Adamunas got injured. But now that he's got a good game, Fonseca is going to play him to see how long he can stay that good. And then they'll see with it. Is there anybody in the top 10, Quinny, that you were looking at in France that sort of jumped to you?
Well, the main thing that jumped out to me is the podium all have the same team. They all picked, and this is, see, when you said, I didn't actually know you were going to say Nice when you're setting that up there, but when you were saying we've got another team to follow, I thought you might have said it was Lorient, because in this team that took over the podium, Manone was in goals, and Enzo Lefebvre is still running midfields all over the world for Sorare managers. And then up front, they'd had Cherky and Messi, geniuses, of course. Friend of the channel's Hey Mai was up there on the podium with this team. But check it out. We're slagging off PSG's defence. Guess who the number one defender was in France?
I could tell you it easily. Hakimi.
Ashraf. Ashraf.
boy.
Did you see the goal?
Yeah.
I would have given him 100 just for that goal. Just for that goal, I would have given him 100.
And he probably should have got 0 points. From Solare? He should have got 0 points for his assist to Messi's goal, if you haven't seen that. I mean, Fedo mentioned it before, but he literally got the ball taken off him and Messi just pinged one. But yeah, I am the idiot. Well, it actually worked out for good in the end, but I moved him out of my best team into my second best team, Hakimi, like after he's been on this monster run, because they were moving to a fullback. You know, when he plays in that right mid, like right wing position, he just flies. But I've seen too many times in the fullback where he's just like a defensive right back that doesn't get forward. So yes, a massive score. I didn't watch the game, but I am still concerned, obviously. You know, defensive back Hakimi is not as good as free back Hakimi. So my only concern as a holder.
You should be concerned when it comes to his defense right now. But he's brilliant when he's got the ball. So as long as he gets those goals, he'll get good score. Without goal or assist, I'm not sure how well he fails.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Trent. A little bit better than Trent, though, in real life. But he's really good offensively, really bad defensively. Always been.
I just want to say for fans of the channel that, unfortunately, I'm no longer the French expert. It is back to Jeremy. So, yeah, anything he says, we're trusting him. But I do want to move on to the next league because I'm excited to talk about it. Again, didn't get to watch it this weekend. Was very busy with all the travels to London and watching the games, obviously. But Roma, smashing it again. My man, Paulo Dybala, he's back in with essentially like another 95-ish score. I think it's bad for me. It's bad for me in one sense and great in another sense, because what's happened here is that I believe he's taken the corners and the free kicks off Pellegrini. So my Pellegrini's going down in scores as my Dybala's flying in scores. But as a stack, I still really like them. But more importantly, like I think they're back up to third now and even got a chance to move to second. That is just me talking about the team that I enjoy watching. So did anyone watch any other games? I know the big one of the weekend was obviously AC Inter. Anyone watch?
By the way, talking about Roma, did you catch that they purposely posted or tweeted a wrong lineup so that they could catch the mole? Because in the first official lineup, Dybala was not in the lineup. And
my God, I did not.
Then a lot
that.
of Sorare managers were already like freaking out. Where is Dybala? And then it came out that this was just an attempt to catch this mole.
That is fantastic. No, I bet the mole was Zaniolo. You know, he's had enough issues. He's just moved to Galatasaray today. But no, that is good. If anyone knows in the comments how that story unfolded, let me know, because really interested in that.
Fabrizio Romano's been rumbled. Here we scout. He's got the intel. He knows what's going on. When I opened up those scores for the Roma game, I was not expecting to see that. 96 for Ibanez at the back. Rui Patricio 72. He's got some 80 on top of the clean sheet. And like you said, Dybala 94.6. Tammy Abraham with 60.
Yeah,
really solid spine of scores.
Imagine all those scores, and you pick Kevin De Bruyne instead to get a 34. So yeah. Like even I had Mancini sitting there doing nothing in a cap 220. But they are really solid at the back recently. It's one of those where, Jose Mourinho, you're like, good defensive manager. You probably expect it by now. I still just don't have the trust in them. I probably, watched them too long. But really solid team all round, doing lots of passing. Even against, Napoli, I said last week how impressed I was. So, I'm excited for them. They're absolutely cruising compared to teams like AC Milan. So, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, but it's mainly about I watch a lot of Roma because of one of my best friends is a Roma fan, a diehard Roma fan, and the main reason why Roma is so good this year defensively is because I think, at least that's my opinion from watching it, I think Roger Ibanez stepped up big time from last year. He's like a completely new player than from last year. I think he just needed to adapt better to the Roma system, and now he's crushing. Like he's like the Brazilian defender we all know from the Italian league, from the Serie A, and now he's becoming that. And he's the Bremer that Juve wanted, and now he's at Roma with Roger Ibanez, and he's really good. I'm really impressed with him. And also
Yeah.
staying in Rome because I checked some scores before this amazing talk we are having right now is a very, very good pick, in my opinion, for the next game weeks. Uh, let's go to the city rival, to Lazio Rome. I think Immobile, who is back right now, who should have a very low cap, is a must-have pick. Like, him and Sakani, that's actually a good stack. Like, seriously, guys, Immobile is back, and he's hungry for goals. He's hungry.
He always is.
Lazio is a good team right now. Fedo, I can see you trying to avoid the question of the game of the weekend between Inter and
Yeah.
Milan. Didn't you like that game?
No, that game didn't happen. I can't remember it ever played. No,
Hard to
basically,
remember through the years.
so basically,
Go.
honestly speaking, I don't know what Pioli is thinking. I really don't know. I can't even defend him anymore, even if he brought us the Scudetto. It's very hard to talk about this for me. But basically, his game plan was, what I understand, is to keep the zero. That's why he played really defensively, which kind of worked in the beginning. It did kind of work. But then at the moment, Lautaro Martinez is on another level. He's just either I think he's just sent a double to the World Cup because that was not Lautaro Martinez we know, and
Yeah.
Lautaro Martinez right now is on is really on another level, especially since this Skriniar dilemma. He really stepped up. He became the captain. He became the captain they needed. Like, really impressed in respect to Lautaro, even if he plays at Inter. Like, yeah, Hakan Çalhanoğlu is also playing phenomenally right now. Federico De Marco, my name, Fetter. Uh, um, he is splendid. He's just splendid. I love watching him. It was a very nice duel between him and Calabria the whole time. I think that's a really, really cool duel to watch as well on television. But yeah,
Nice.
basically we don't have a single idea how to attack anymore. Giroud is not the guy he used to be. He had like 2 on his foot last year he would have made. And Leao, the problem with Leao is he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's fantastic, but he's not a very mentally strong player. He's not working back. He's not there when you need him in the back phase, and that's why I understand kind of the decision of keeping him out. But on the other hand, you're trying to renew his contract. You're trying to bond him long term to your city and sell him on the project, and then you're not playing him in the biggest game of the season probably for Milan at this point because there is nothing else to win anymore. And yeah, I think that's horrible. And also, I see that we are missing Benacer because Tonali misses Benacer the most. Tonali is not himself without Benacer because he has to cover the spaces Benacer was covering before, so he can't do the things he's really good at. That's more like pressing forward, pushing forward, being in the spaces he needs to be. That's what Tonali's good at. He's also very good at tackling, but Benacer is better for that. Benacer is the better 6, 100%, no doubts about that. So Benacer is really missed. And then Tatarusanu, okay, this game he couldn't have done anything, but I'm very glad that I think in 1 week Mike Magna is supposed to be back, and Magic Mike is Magic Mike, and really happy. But nothing to add. Lautaro won that derby. He's amazing. Nothing else to add.
Stay away from Milan is probably what to add on
Yes,
Sorare right
yes.
now.
Yeah.
Don't buy any Milan player right now.
Unless Mignone's like really low from his injury, but from my research in Champion Europe keepers, I'm pretty sure he just maintained one of the most expensive.
For sure.
Everyone knows, he's back and scoring well.
They're also missing Tomori, and all the respect to Kia, he's also not the same player anymore after his ACL torn. Obviously, at his age, and Tomori and Maignan, they could bring some stability at the end of the season. So we could see an uptick there again, especially defensively, because especially Kalulu is looking way better when Tomori is there. Because I don't know why, but they seem to have a better synergy, better connection as well. Also because probably they talk more. And Kalulu is just a completely different player when Tomori is there. The same with Theo Hernandez, because what I get the feeling is when Tomori is not there, Theo Hernandez has not the courage to go up front that much as when Tomori is there on that same side, because maybe he knows Tomori will somehow cover it if I lose the ball, and maybe he doesn't trust Kier. I don't know. I'm not in his head. But Theo Hernandez is also not the same player without Tomori, but he also came back really, really weak after the World Cup. Same a little bit with Kimmich. And they all need to step up. That's all. That's all you need to say. They need to step up. They can do better.
I've got a team here that currently are stepping up in Italy. Juventus, right? Currently playing now. Vlahovic back starting in the league. He was on a long-term injury. 47 minutes, 3 decisive actions, 2 goals, 1 assist. So I remember I was going to make a no-value choice on Vlahovic because he was so expensive. And then when I went to check his price, he wasn't as expensive as he used to be because of the injury and because of everything else. So, could be one to watch. I know he's definitely on the expensive range, but if we're talking cap mode, I'm sure it's pretty low down there after like easing his way back through the injuries. So, one to watch for the capped draft, definitely. Not capped.
In terms of the leaderboards, there wasn't any of these players there wasn't any big dominant. That's why I was quite surprised Dybala didn't really turn up. But it was all the Napoli guys. Napoli kind of ran the show again at the weekend. Cravadonna was dropping big scores. Awesome and scoring more for fun.
Yeah, in the draft, you can't pick Roma. That's why. So, yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Great
point, Alex. But one of the teams that I seen come up in the top 10 actually a fair bit was actually Torino. A lot of people were picking Vanya for the goalkeeper, and a lot of people picked Aina, the defender, Aina. And Nico Gonzalez at Fiorentina actually put in a massive score this week as well. But otherwise, a lot of the Serie A teams were, kind of jigsaw puzzle kind of efforts of different teams, and mainly Napoli, spines, of Osimhen and Cravadonna. The only thing we've kind of not really spoke on yet, guys, is kind of La Liga. I don't think any of us actually really caught it from the weekend itself. In terms of the draft, La Liga-wise, how did you guys get on with it? I don't know, Fredo, you don't even play it, but in terms of the teams that he's got out, how did you get on?
Bad. Real Madrid losing against Mallorca, I think, was obviously a bit of a surprise. Not that I had many of them.
Mallorca at home, by the way. Mallorca at home.
Mallorca at home is a team to look at, definitely. I have Perak Jakovic in my in my team, so I do like that. One thing with La Liga, I was trying to get. I think it's half a funny one. I could have had a good score. I got 244, but my midfielder was Rodri, because last week when I was doing my swap, I was trying to get Canales, and I clicked the wrong guy, and so I got Rodri from Betis Sevilla. And Canales had a great weekend. So anyway, that was one. I had Gerard Moreno. We've spoken about getting Villarreal because they are playing against Elche, and Villarreal and Moreno got a good score. But Real Madrid not winning was a surprise. Sorry, SimplyAlex, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying Villarreal, Moreno put up a 78, but they got beat 3-1 by Elche. The big shock of the weekend for me in that league. No one watched it, I guess, so we can't really comment. But Danny Parejo let everyone down, I guess. What did he score? 45. So not good enough.
Barcelona is still the stack you want to go to, right?
Sorry, go on, Fedo.
No, I watched Valencia against Girona because I have a deep love for Tati Castellanos. Quinny knows that. So I try to watch all the Girona games, and also I own Mamadashvili. And first of all, Mamadashvili is awesome. He's an amazing goalie. He is probably the best U23 goalie in real life you have right now, in real life, not on Sorare. So I would be imagined him not seeing a big move in the next 2 years because he deserves it. He's so good with his on the line. It's amazing. If I would be Bayern and I would lose Neuer, what could be possible, I would just jump on and buy Mamadashvili 100%. You have him for the next 12 to 13 years. He's tall, he's fast, he's quick, he's everything. Okay, enough about Mamadashvili. But on Girona's side, they're playing pretty good football at the end of the day. I'm always hoping they're going down to Liga Smart Bank because I have some players that I lost to them who were good before and now are pretty bad. But they're pretty good, actually. And they even play good against Barcelona. And they have this midfielder guy called Alexi Garcia. He is just dominating every midfield. It's unbelievable. Like, okay, he's way better on Sorare than he is in real life, I have to say. But on Sorare, he's like really good. I've never seen a more consistent player than him on Sorare, basically, in the last 5-6 games. And Girona is not that bad. I don't think they will get relegated, sadly.
The only players I want to bring up from Liga Santander, La Liga, is Jordi Alba, the best player in the league for SO5 wise, but you just can't guarantee he plays. Between him and Balde, it's like a 50-50 every game. So even though he gets 100, your expected probability needs to go down by 50%, which, it's just not great. And then Rafinha, he was one I was really interested in and taking a little gamble on. I never did because of just the rotation risk between Torres and Fati. But a goal and an assist at the weekend. He normally only plays about 60 minutes because of the whole rotation thing, but he managed to get 84, and he just shows why he probably should be starting more with 93. So,
Yeah, they were the big movers and shakers on the leaderboard. Was Alba and Rafinha. They were the two Barca players. Like if you were getting in the top 10, they were the two Barca players you picked, Alex. So they're great ones that you've picked out there, 100%. Gerard Moreno, along with Rafinha, is the best forward in the league this week. In terms of scores, but then see, looking through the rest of it, the only other player that kind of came up was Peri Mila, the centre mid or the forward that plays for Elche. And like you say, they were the shock of the week. So these wee differentials that whoever's played that guy knew that he was have a good game if they'd done something. So
let's invite him on, Quinny, because he knows a lot more than us.
Let's see. Who was
the Elche midfielder.
But the guy that won it. He had your guy from Bilbao in defence, Jeremy.
That's who I was going to mention, Jeremy. He got a goal. He's just an absolute monster. Tried to buy a super rare. Didn't work out for me because everyone knows how good he is who's got a super rare. Definitely want to try and add to your teams where possible. Really steady. Sorry, go on, Quinny.
That was it.
Sorry. Yeah. I want to hear the first place of La Liga's team if he's playing the Elche lads. Have you got it up?
Oh, you want to hear the team?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I missed. Sorry. So the team he had was he went with. The goalkeeper actually kind of threw me off. A guy called Masip got a 77 playing Jordi. For Valladolid.
Really low points, I believe.
Yeah. They then had Alba in defence, like we mentioned. They had captain Rafinha, and then they had Peri Milla. And is he a forward? I thought he was a forward, but he's positioned. Yeah, he is a forward, but on the team, he's behind Pedri. The guy had Pedri as his midfielder. And then Peri Mila and Rafinha, double striker option he went for. Peri Mila as a striker dropped in 93. I can't really see the score to pop up to see what he actually brought in, but it's a great win. 3 goals.
I do want to say that you can win that division or any of these draft modes on just pure luck. That seems like a really well thought out team. And of course you need to get lucky, but you get lucky by making a decision that no one else will, like an Elche player. But like Jordi Alba as well, playing him with Rafinha, 2 gambles that he predicted that game week would come off. And I think that's something we forget in the draft, right? You just need them for 1 game week. That's, for example, why I picked Koeman in my draft, because I was really confident to play this week. So he's a great choice at 40 points. Then you can sell him for more next week. But yeah, shout out to that guy. And if you do want to come on in the comments, you're coming straight on. You can sub out for me.
By the way, because we were talking so much about Barca, they have a guy. They bought him in the winter, Loic Bade. He's a really good footballer. He knows how to play ball, and he's also scoring pretty high on Sorare since he if he's not playing against Barcelona. So he might be a pick as well.
Playing at Sevilla, right? You're saying, yeah.
Yes.
Did
Yes.
we mention last week he was great at Lens, got bought 17 million by Rennes, then didn't perform at Rennes because when he got a red card early next year, Omari became the guy at Rennes, and then went to play for Nottingham Forest the first 6 months, I think, on loan and didn't do anything. And now he's loaned to Sevilla under Sampaoli because Sampaoli loves him. And finally
he's
get
really good.
to see some football. Yeah, he's a strong defender, 22 years old.
No, I would love to see in the future. The problem is he got the spot, Tanguy Nianzou. He got the spot, then he did that stupid error led to goal. And then Sampaoli, especially Sampaoli, is not very forgiving. So he's now out of this starting 11. And but I would love to see a partnership between Bade and Nianzou. I think this is going to be huge. And I think this could be then the next Koundé they sell for 60, 70 million, one of those two in the next 2 years, if they perform as they could be, what I believe in them. Especially Nianzou. I watched him in all the U19, U20 for France, also at Bayern Munich in the practice. That kid can do everything. It's unbelievable.
Loic Bade still belongs to Rennes, by the way. He's only on loan in
he's
Sevilla.
Only loaned. Yeah.
So I think that's it. Be sure to check out everyone's socials, and thanks for joining us. And yeah, please drop a comment on what you liked, who you thought was the best alpha tip, and yeah, all the best to you. Cheers.